Dog Studios. The cinematic duo. Now, here are your hosts, Paula Perez and Trevor Kremenek.
Okay, so looks like that Agatha trailer for that, or at least teaser, came out. Mm-hmm. And what were your thoughts on it?
I liked it. I did. I know it's like a teaser trailer, so obviously there's not supposed to be a lot of of the show. It's just kind of
it's giving you a small taste.
Yeah. But overall, I'm pretty excited. It does seem like they're trying to actually make it like a horror themed series and not just
the same shit.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I hope it's better than some of the other series they've pumped out,
Well,
and at least, yeah.
It's like, I think I sent you a picture of it that I found on Twitter. It was stuff in phase 5 where it was, it started with Quantumanium, the MCU is dead. Then it was Guardians 3, the MCU is back. And then Marvel's, it's dead. Loki, it's back. And it just went like that. Just constantly. I would agree. It definitely, if you've seen stuff outside of the MCU, especially horror stuff outside of it, it doesn't look entirely new to you, but it is new to the MCU. So, and, because of Deadpool and Wolverine coming out fairly soon, I'm hoping it's, kind of a push for them to do more like darker, more like take more risks like they used to, instead of going safe and mediocre and somewhat just ridiculous and stupid. So, and from what I did see in it, it did look interesting. So we'll see what happens in September.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
The trailer, as of this morning, the trailer for Gladiator II came out. And yeah.
Okay.
I've always thought that I don't think Gladiator needs a sequel. Because I was like, okay, the way this wrapped up good. I don't think there needs to be another one. But you know what? Prove me wrong. And from the trailer, they definitely have a good cast in there. But I can also see where it could potentially fail. And, I think a lot of stuff recently, like with Ridley Scott, because he's coming back to direct it, I would say in the 2010s is kind of when he started, like, the movies he was pumping out. I'm like, this really isn't very good or interesting. Like Robin Hood, I fucking hate. Exodus is just, you look at it, it's like, yeah, this is kind of insulting. And even something like with Prometheus, while I did like it, it really has nothing to do with Alien, because they were more focused on telling a new story. That I was like, oh yeah, that's right, this is supposed to connect to Alien. And even with Alien Covenant, there were parts of it I liked, but it was like, oh, this is what you did? Like, okay, that's very disappointing. But, they can prove me wrong.
True.
Yeah. I also... go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say like I just watched Quiet Place Day 1 and Maxine a couple days ago, and I have you seen any of the X trilogy?
Yeah, I have.
Which one was it? X or Pearl?
Pretty sure it's Pearl.
Okay. Personally, Pearl is my favorite one out of the trilogy because it was set in I think the 20s, I think, maybe the late 1910s. But it was pretty much like I saw this one review of it and they said it's like Wizard of Oz meets American Psycho. And I was like, well, you had me right there. Like you had me. And it's just the way it's just the sets were just incredible, and I loved the use of colors. Like it was like a colorful movie, and you kind of forget that sometimes in there, or most of the time, you're like, oh wait, yeah, this is supposed to be a horror film. It's supposed to be dark. Well, shit. I liked how each movie in the trilogy makes it look like it's from a film from that specific decade, and they even use some title cards that you would see in those decades. So like, you know, like the first one, which X, felt like it was from a film from the 70s. Pearl felt like a movie from I think it was the 10s. And then Maxine feels like it was from the 80s. But I will say that Maxine is my least favorite of it, but I did like it. And little fun thing is they actually shot a lot of the movie in the backlots of Universal and Warner Brothers. So if you've been there, it's actually kind of cool to like see some of the sets there, and you're like, I've driven by that, and how they were able to incorporate some of those into the film. So like, you see from the trailer, you see them at the Psycho house. So it's kind of cool to see like, oh, that's cool how they're able to like almost like incorporate that into the movie. And while I think it was good, it's just my least favorite of the three. And with A Quiet Place, day one, it surprised me on how good it was. Like, it's still, I would still say the first one is my favorite, because the first one, I went into it with like zero expectation and came out of it going, wow, that was really good and very unique, and don't want to spoil it, but pretty shocking at times, where I'm like, oh wow, you guys are going this dark. Okay. Like, hell, the first 5 minutes of that film is just insane.
Oh. Wow.
So I would say that day one, it has the most action in the trilogy, but because it's also the first day of it happening, it kind of almost has to. So it was like, okay, that makes sense. I get it. And there were legitimately parts that, I don't want to sound like a wimp, but they did choke me up, because it was just the way they did it was just like so beautifully done. And Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn, they actually have really good chemistry together. They work great together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because but mainly the movie, it's mainly all about Nyong'o, her character. It's mainly about her. It almost felt like another like Us, where that movie was pretty much her. That was her movie. This kind of does the same thing, but I would say it's a little better than 2, but not as good as 1. That's what I would say. But So, yeah, if you like Quiet Place, you'll definitely like this. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, there you go. And it's a prequel too, so you don't really need to have seen 1 and 2 before this. But
Isn't it nice when they release movies like out of order?
yeah, there's that too. Like the X trilogy. You know, you got the first movie, and then you got the prequel to that, and then you got the sequel to it. So, you know, whatever floats their boat.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, so that's what I saw, and then also rewatched the '90s Mortal Kombat that I haven't seen in like years. Like I don't think I saw that since I was like 13, and it's. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I have. I've seen all of the older ones.
Oh shit. Yeah, honestly, you know what? The first one, it's ridiculous. It's dumb as hell, but they all know it. And they're like, okay, this is based on a fighting video game. What? We don't need to take this seriously.
It's in the 90s.
Yeah.
How are they supposed to, like, CGI chains coming out of their hands? And snakes.
Well, and then, you know, the fact that it was mid-90s, so parts it looks cool, but at parts you're like, oh shit, that doesn't really look good anymore. Like mainly when they show Reptile, it's like, oh shit, that doesn't really look good. But you know what? I'll take that over Annihilation any day. And to be honest, I think that's Paul W.S. Anderson's best movie. Because I do not care for the Resident Evil films. I fucking hate Alien vs. Predator. Event Horizon, I think, was okay, but there was a lot in there that I'm like, yeah, this could have been better. But I know there's a lot of fans for that film, but it's like, I think if it did a couple of things differently, I think it could have been better for me, but that's just me. But yeah, just Mortal Kombat, it's ridiculous, but you know what? It's fun to watch. It's just so entertaining. And also, I forgot how fucking funny that movie is. And it's just so entertaining. And I'm like, you know what? I'll watch this. Like I was watching another movie, and then when that movie was done, I was just flipping through, and then I found that, and I went, you know what? I haven't seen this since like I was like 13. Fuck it, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it again. So I will say this about it: it gave us possibly one of the best, if not the best, dance movie track ever. So it's.
I mean, it is quite a movie. I'll be honest with you.
It's still entertaining, and yeah, you know, it's PG-13, but you know what? They made it entertaining. They made it fun. They captured the fun of the games, and
I agree.
You know, at the end of the day, you enjoy it. So, you know, but yeah, I rewatched that recently, and I was like, man, I forgot how fun this movie is. Ridiculous, but fun.
They're always so stupid, I swear.
That's what makes it fun. Mm-hmm. And it's especially since they know how ridiculous it is, and they just go, you know what, we know exactly what this is. Let's just have fun with it. So, yeah. But speaking of, you know, those kind of action comedy type stuff, the movie that we will be talking about, I know I have it here somewhere, but we are doing our top 12 favorite action comedy films because the movie we're going to be talking about is an action comedy, and also to, I guess, celebrate 4th of July. So I know,
July.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll get to that when we get to it. But so that's what we're doing. So we have 12 of our favorite action comedy films. This is just our favorites. There's no best and worst this time. So it's just our favorites. So I have 12 and I have 3 honorable mentions. How many do you have?
I don't have any honorable mentions, surprisingly.
Okay. It seems to me like I'm the only one that's got the honorable mentions.
Well, I mean, sometimes they come, but like whenever I look for movies for my list, I kind of just stick to the 12, and I'm like, I don't really want to honorable mention anyone.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Plus I end up usually agreeing with you when it comes to them, or the movies that you have for your honorable mention are in. Usually are in my list.
No, it's freedom of speech. We like what we like, we dislike what we dislike.
Exactly.
All right, so what we can do is I can do the 3 honorable mentions I have, and then you want to go back to back again like we typically do. Like we do, you can do number 12, and then I do 12, and then 11, and just go back and forth.
That's fine. Our usual.
Yeah. All right. So the 3 honorable mentions I have, the first one I have is Ready or Not. Now, this movie technically isn't really an action comedy. There's action and comedy in there, but it's mainly a horror film. I remember this coming out and just wanting to go see it, and I didn't see it until like a couple years later, and I was just enthralled with it. Like, it was like, wow, this is so fun. This is done by the group known as Radio Silence, who did Scream 5 and 6, and then just recently did Abigail, which, again, another fun movie. This movie's just so entertaining. Like, I sat down and was going like, okay, I think this movie is at least going to be good. It was better than that.
Okay.
All right. It's so entertaining. But it's an honorable mention because it's more of a horror film. So I was like, okay, then I'll leave it off. Another honorable mention I have, The Naked Gun. And, if you ever watched that show Police Squad, it's the movie, or especially the trilogy, is the culmination of that. They just said, hey, we don't really want to do another show. Let's just make a trilogy. Okay, that works. That works. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but they know it is, and they just have fun with it. It felt like a movie where they went, hey, what can we do here that's funny? And they were just trying to make each other laugh, or just to see how ridiculous they could potentially get. From the beginning of the movie, where during the title or the credit sequence in the beginning, yeah, it's the top of a police car, but it's driving through just like random things. Like, it's driving through a house with a family's there. It's driving on a roller coaster. And when you see that, you're just like, okay, I know exactly what this movie is. I know exactly what they're going to do. And, even like, some of the cast they got, the fact that they got, Ricardo Montalban to be the villain in that. It's like, dude, that was after Star Trek II. So I was like, oh, okay. You really didn't have to do that, but you did.
I mean, if you wanted, you could.
And also they got Priscilla Presley.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's the love interest. yeah, that's her. If you go and watch it, you're just like, oh, okay. Oh, wait. Oh, no shit. So, it was kind of fun. Like, yeah, the first couple times I saw it, I didn't realize that. And then afterward, I was like, oh shit, that's her. It's super fun and just ridiculous, but And then the last honorable mention I have, which maybe we'll be talking about, I don't know, but it is Team America Wool Police. And because, so I'm a big fan of South Park. I like its kind of humor. That's the kind of humor I find funny. And Team America is not connected to South Park at all. But you can definitely watch it and you go, oh yeah, this totally has it's like South Park written all over it. So it almost felt like they wanted to do something like this with South Park, but they didn't find a way to try and make that work. So they just said, hey, fuck it. Let's just make a puppet movie. And where these puppets just try to kill Kim Jong-il. Let's just do that.
Kim Jong-il. Well, fair.
Let's just do that. So yeah. So that's what I have for my honorable mentions. So, all right, on to the big list. So, would you like to start with number 12?
All right, let's start off with number 12. All right. For my number 12, I have Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad that came out in 2020.
James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how much comedy was in that movie. It is pretty action-packed.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also that's James Gunn's humor.
Yeah. I guess, in a sense, I really liked the movie, though. I really did. I think the only reason it's at 12 is because I don't quite understand where the comedy came from, but it is labeled an action comedy. Mm-hmm. But it is a really good movie. I will say that.
It is. I would agree. I did like it. That is just the comedy just comes from James Gunn. He, especially wait until you watch Slither. That movie is it's freaky. It's gross. It's gross, but it is fucking hilarious.
Okay.
It's hilarious. It's definitely a movie where you're like, ugh, this is gross. But that's definitely his humor. He finds ways to either make something action-packed, and maybe something horrific, and then find something funny to put into that.
Right.
So that's definitely a sense of humor. He definitely has a little essence of, I would say, Sam Raimi in there, where Sam Raimi with Evil Dead finds a way to throw something horrific at you, but they make it funny. The scene that always gets me is in Evil Dead 2 where Ash shoots the wall, and then all of a sudden, you start seeing a little bit of blood come out of it. So you're like, oh, what is that? So you're kind of disturbed. And then all of a sudden, just a fire hose of blood just shoots out. And you're like, what the? So you just start laughing at that because of how ridiculous it is. So James Gunn loves to do that kind of thing where he tries to put comedy in either something, action or horrific. That's very much him. That's his style, I would say. Yeah, I would agree. Suicide Squad I did like that one.
I did like it too. I know there's 2 different Suicide Squads, but the more recent one that James Gunn did was
you have the good one and you have the bad one.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
What's your number 12?
My number 12 is, I think, a movie that not a lot of people know about. I have seen like some people kind of talk about it, but it feels like an underground film. Rat Race. Now, Rat Race is basically, if you heard of the movie, it's a mad world. It's basically that, but more adult. And that movie just has a huge cast. Like, the plot of that one is John Cleese, he owns a hotel in Vegas. And he and his partners and investors just have a shit ton of money that they've basically been like making bets off of stupid shit. So like they do a couple things in the movie where there's one where they have the housemaids climb onto the top of curtains and see who lasts longer. So they're saying like, okay, who had her? Oh, you got it. You got money. Because they're so bored. They're just like, you know what? Let's just randomly pick people to participate in a race where they go from here to, I believe it was New Mexico, to get $2 million. And the cast they have in it is just huge. Let's see. It has Breckin Myers in it. Cuba Gooding Jr. is in it. Back when, before we knew. Whoopi Goldberg is in it. Seth Green's in it. John Lovitz is in it. Mr. Bean. Forget his name.
No way.
He's in it.
In that?
He's in it.
Oh my god.
Yeah. He plays the guy he plays. He is a bit of a doof who is narcoleptic, which is a rare sleeping disorder where you'll randomly just fall asleep at random times.
Okay.
That's him. Cuba Gooding Jr. plays a football referee who called a coin toss incorrectly. So now everybody just looks at him like, hey, you're the guy that messed up that game. Whoopi Goldberg plays a mother who is reconnecting with a child she gave up for adoption. John Lovitz plays a guy who is like a father, and his wife is actually played by, I forget her name, but she was one of the witches in Hocus Pocus. Wasn't Bette Midler nor Sarah Jessica Parker.
Oh, I don't know the third witch's name. I really don't.
But yeah, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, but I know who you're talking about, yeah.
She's his wife.
Oh, interesting.
So he wants to get there, but his family's just like, we don't know where we're going. And I'll give you this one part. There's a part in the movie where his daughter is in the back seat and they see a sign that says Barbie Museum next to exit. She wants to go visit the museum, and after persuading, they eventually go. But it's not what you think. It is not a Barbie museum dedicated to the Mattel doll. It is a Barbie museum that is dedicated to a Nazi whose name was Barbie.
Oh.
So they go there. So they go there, and they're just like, Klaus Barbie. And yeah, he was like, they said he was a husband, a founding father, and 3-time ballroom dancing champion.
3-time ballroom dancing champion. Wow.
But then they try to, when they leave, they find out that the car gets basically messed up. So the only other car that's available there is Adolf Hitler's Mercedes-Benz. So they're literally driving around in Hitler's car. It's funny. It's funny. But there's just random stuff like that. You're just like, okay, how do they come up with this? Cuba Gooding Jr. finds a bus that is going near where he needs to go. So he basically, he's able to persuade the bus driver to like give him his clothes, so he pretends to be the bus driver, but then he looks in the bus and it's a whole bunch of women cosplaying as Lucille Ball.
Okay.
So they're going to an I Love Lucy convention.
What the hell is this movie?
It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Like I said, it's a mad world, but it's more adult and absurd. But it is hilarious. It actually, a little fun fact, it is directed by one of the creators of Naked Gun.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, yeah. But you know what? It's, you know, there are parts in that movie that aren't great, but you know what? It's entertaining. So, it's hilarious. I recommend it. I find it hilarious.
I bet it sounds hilarious. For sure.
Oh, it is funny. So yeah, that's my number 12.
Okay. We're on to 11. Right? Yeah. My number 11 is Deadpool.
Okay.
The very first one that came out. I don't really think I have to talk too much about Deadpool. It is very much the whole point of Deadpool being a very comedic. I don't think he's considered a superhero.
I think he's more of an anti-hero.
Yeah, like a vigilante. Kind of like, yeah. So, I mean, you know, I think he's like very much like sexual dark humor for sure.
Yeah.
Probably that's why it's rated R.
Well, and also
But,
that's the character of him.
Yeah, that's the character of him for sure. But you know, the movie's really great. The directing of the movie is amazing, and it's one of the few Marvel movies that I quite enjoyed when it came out. Obviously, some of the newer Deadpools, not including the Wolverine and Deadpool one, those are very much hit or miss.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Venom movies. Like the first one was fine, and then after that, it was kind of like, okay, that doesn't make any sense, but all right.
Was the first one fine?
The first one was fine. I think it was fine. If you want to base it off the comics, no, it was not fine, but it was fine to me for sure. But
well, you know, I'm not gonna say a lot because I did when we did our best and worst superhero or comic book movies. So you know, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, we're not gonna go into it. But that's my number 11. Is Deadpool for sure.
Cool. My number 11 is a movie that I didn't see until a little later. Because I was like, oh, I want to see. Oh, wait. It's not old enough yet. Kick-Ass.
Okay.
Because that movie is just so funny. And, you know, it also does something, you know, that's very realistic too. It's like, you know, it's about a kid who, you know, likes superheroes and likes comic books and stuff, but then he goes, why is there no real life superheroes? And so he's just like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to get a green spandex suit and just get two big staffs and just go out and just fight crime. And then basically it becomes an addiction of his. But, you know, as much as, you know, I think it was Aaron Taylor Johnson, as much as he was good, my two favorite characters in that, it was Nicolas Cage and Chloe Grace Moretz being father and daughter.
Oh.
Because they were just ruthless. And just from that, you know, when you watch the movie, it's almost like Nicolas Cage is trying to be Batman. And, you know, it is a fun movie. You know, I didn't really care for the second one too much, and I know for the third one they're still trying to get it done, but I think it's kind of passed already. So, which sucks, but I know they want to do it. And something cool about it is that Chloe Grace Moretz's character, she does the butterfly knife things.
Right.
She can actually do that. That's
sick.
Yeah. Like, I think she was on, when I think Conan O'Brien was still doing late night. She was on there, and he said, like, yeah, you can actually do it. And she's like, yeah, you have a set, like, just sitting right there. And, yeah, she's doing it literally as they're talking. And she's making total eye contact, not with the knives. So, you know, Conan's getting freaked out. So he's like, you're not looking at the knives. You're not looking at what you're doing. And she's like, I know. Like, she knows what she's doing. And what's also cool is she plays video games, too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Like, she said, like, she was playing, like, Starfield for a while. But, yeah. I thoroughly liked Kick-Ass. And,
I mean, it sounds
and the
great.
fact that they have a swear word in the title, that just says it by
Fair
itself.
enough.
Number 10.
Number 10. Okay. My number 10 is Bullet Train.
Well, guess what?
Again, it's a movie that's... Is your number 10 Bullet Train too?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I kind of felt bad for putting it at number 10, but I feel like top 10 was pretty good enough.
It made number 10. It should be fine.
It should be fine, yeah. I think, I don't know. We've talked about Bullet Train quite a few times on here, and we don't need to keep explaining how good this movie is.
Yeah. So it's just, you know, it's a movie that I went into with little expectations and pulled out of it and went, wow, like that was way better than I thought it was going to be.
I know. And I remember watching it already when it was posted on Netflix and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I heard, like, really good reviews about it. I'm like, it can't be that good. And I was like, it's a 2-hour movie, almost 3 hours. I'm like, oh, I'll give it a chance. Mm-hmm. I'm glad I did, because it was one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Yeah. It was one of the best.
The comedy is just...
There you go.
Sorry.
No, I was about to say, like, it was one of my favorite movies of the year.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But you said the comedy.
Oh, the comedy is just... It really doesn't stop, actually. Even if it's not intentional, there's always something to laugh at during every scene. Yeah. So, and again, the casting was amazing. The plot was amazing. The fact that you kind of learn all of the funny stuff, why people were there in the first place towards the end, is pretty funny.
I mean, the fact that everybody there had their own backstory. And some of them were barely in it. That was cool. So it was like every single character had a backstory. Everybody who was there had a reason for being there. And they were only in it for maybe 5 minutes. So I was like, oh, okay. Cool. Yeah.
Which, again, they brought up a lot of celebrities that were popping off during that year.
Yeah.
Like Bad Bunny and I forgot who else. Someone else. But yeah.
I do know that people are asking for a Lemon and Tangerine spin-off movie.
Okay.
Well, that's what they're asking. Like, they're saying that what they could potentially do is do something before, where it was before they got the Bolivia job, which then got them the job to do the train one. So, like, they could potentially do something with that, whereas the end of it is it leads up to them getting that job, and then when you go watch Bullet Train, you know, they're at and they explain how they got it, because the chemistry they had was just so good, and the way they were written was so good as well, and it was fun. That was a fun movie. Yeah, I would definitely agree. That's why I have it as number 10 as well.
is just amazing. I can't figure any movie that could top that. Well, probably I can, but for now I really can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Right,
that was my number 10, so number 9.
Number 9, okay. I put The Kingsman Secret Service, which is the first movie.
The first one?
Out of the first one. Because the first one really did well compared to some of the other ones. I really do like the dynamic. It is very much English, like, comedy.
It feels very Bond.
It does feel very Bond, doesn't it?
It does.
It is very much Secret Service. You're using the Round Table as names, and which, if you don't know what the Round Table is, it's King Arthur. You got to go into the whole entire thing, and they all have the names of the knights and stuff.
Yeah.
So, which is very fun, but I don't want to spoil the movie because you end up finding out what the Secret Service is, and then you know who the enemy is, and then it gets into a whole thing.
It really does.
But my favorite villain from the series has to be the one that, oh my God, I forgot his name.
Jackson?
No. Yes.
Yeah, Samuel Jackson. I love how, you have, like, it's, the Secret Service is basically, they all, like, the way they dress is very, like, professional, like, very, like, suits and ties. And then with him, he's literally wearing, almost, what was, like, a baseball cap.
Yes.
And I was just like, you're like one laid back villain. And then, what is the gourmet of dinner? It's fucking McDonald's.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, I know what this is. Yeah. Nice Big Mac, which is actually a nice callback to Pulp Fiction as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
You know what they call a quarter pounder in it was France?
France? No, I don't know.
God, it's been forever since I've seen Pulp Fiction, but yeah, like the quarter pounder they talked about that. And then I don't think they were eating quarter pounders. I think they're eating Big Macs. But yeah, so but the whole McDonald's thing was a nice comeback to that. Yeah, I would agree. I kind of forgot about Kingsman.
I mean, it's not a forgettable movie, but it's also not a movie that a lot of people have seen. And knowing, like, this year, or I guess, I don't remember when Argo came out. I think this year. No?
Yeah, it was
this
February.
Year, I think a lot of people that were interested in the Kingsman went to go see Argyle instead, which I think is out now on Apple.
Yeah, I can't rent that movie because it's still $20 to rent.
$20?
Yeah, it's still
to rent?
Actually no. The last time I checked, I can't rent it. I actually have to buy it, and I'm like, I don't want to buy this. I just want to rent it.
That's so.
If I liked it, then I'll buy it. But no.
I heard it was mediocre.
I heard it was crap.
I know it's not supposed to be a part of the Kingsman series. It's supposed to be like a side series to Kingsman. Like
it's supposed to like kickstart another series.
Yeah, which I mean, I heard it was not as good.
Oh no, I heard it was atrocious.
It's atrocious.
That's
I don't
what I've
know,
heard.
man. I only wanted to watch it because
I'll be honest. I looked it up. I started like looking at the Wikipedia for it. And it got to a point where I'm like, oh my god, yeah, that's not good. Damn. I won't say anything, but yeah, it did get to that point where I'm like, yeah, that's lame. That's dumb.
He said that's lame. I can't wait to watch it then. It's been like a good couple months, so I'm surprised it's not rentable yet.
Yeah.
Or at least on a different damn platform for not $20.
Yeah.
So
I think that it's basically them going like, yeah, you want to watch it, go to Apple. And I'm just like,
Apple?
I don't have Apple TV because they really don't have anything that interests me. But that's just me. But yeah, I would agree that the first Kingsman was very good. My number 9 is a movie we talked about, fairly recently. Nobody. Because
Nobody. Right. Yeah, you're right.
That movie, when you give me something where it's like, okay, it's basically, Bob Odenkirk or Saul Goodman, and he is basically being John Wick for 90 minutes, you sold me. Like that right there, you sold me. And it is really fun, and the action is very cool, and it's also really funny. I don't want to get too much into it because we did talk about it in length, but it's so fun. And if you want a fun 90-minute action film where you can actually see the action, this is a good one.
That's right.
So, yeah. So that's my number 9. Number 8.
Number 8. Okay, I decided to put. I'm gonna see if I can get it right. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I got that right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put it on my number 8. You'll see Nobody in my list, just not right now.
Okay. You may see one that you talked about coming up soon.
Oh boy, that's fun. So, this movie, again, I feel like the comedy really is based on the characters, I guess, more racial. So, and some of them is more emotional. So, a lot of like more deeper, darker jokes. Because, I mean, that's the whole point of the story, right? Was like,
it's to me, I saw it as like an action drama film that just happens to have comedy in it. And,
but it's also, I guess you're right, but.
Well, no, I'm not, saying like, oh no, this isn't an action comedy. No, you can watch this movie and have, think about multiple genres. And I would definitely say that the comedy is a big part of it because, if you're dealing with a story that happens to involve like the multiverse, that's when you can just go ape shit and just go crazy. And I think a lot of the comedy has to do with the fact that, there's the universes that they see is like, what the hell? Like, okay, that's
fair.
I mean, the fact that, one of them is everybody's a rock. One of them, they have, like hot dog like fingers that shoot out ketchup and mustard. But God, there was another one in there. It was basically Ratatouille.
Ratatouille. Oh, yeah, you're right. But it was like a possum or something like
something
that.
like that. So I think if you're going to do a story that has to do with like multiverse stuff, that's when you can just go, you know what? Let's just get ridiculous with this. Let's get funny. So
yeah, I mean,
and that movie is quite funny.
Oh, 100%. I did not expect to see sausage people in this movie, but that was like the whole point of it was stupid multiverses. So great.
Yeah. That's a movie I'm so glad like swept the Oscars.
100%.
Because I was the only one watching that because I originally wasn't going to watch it, and then my friend was texting me like, dude, the movie just won. The movie just won Best Supporting Actor. It just won Best Supporting Actress. And I went, fuck it, I'm watching it. And so then I was the only one watching it, and everybody in the house was like in their respective rooms, I guess either trying to sleep or something. But then when it was Harrison, the best moment for me, was Ke Huy Quan winning an Oscar. But to me, the best moment was when the movie won Best Picture, and it was Harrison Ford that read it. You see Ke Huy Quan run up to the stage, and him and Ford embrace. That right there was just awesome.
That was a golden moment that will forever be remembered.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I would agree that movie is very, very good, and I would definitely put it as like an action comedy.
I agree.
So.
I mean, yeah, I think the action in there is enough to be action, and the comedy is also, I think, enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's my number 9.
Number 8.
8. Right. Go ahead. What's your number 8?
My number 8 is Game Night. Now,
I've heard of this movie.
Okay, this movie I thought was going to suck. And then I watched it and was like, wow, that was really funny. That was surprisingly funny. So if you don't know about this movie, it is about Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams. They play a couple who they have a game night every week with their friends. But Bateman's brother comes in, who is played by Kyle Chandler, who I would know him from Super 8, but a lot of people would know him from Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights. And he's basically an asshole. And so his brother says, you know what, I'm going to host a game night. And his game night is a murder mystery type thing. But unfortunately, real people involved with some dangerous activities kidnap the brother, but all of them think it's part of the game. So then, as they're playing the game, they start to realize, like, oh, wait, these aren't actors. These are real dangerous people that we're stepping into, but we think it's all part of the game. And just, it was just so entertaining. And this was actually the movie that the directors would later go on and do the D&D movie that came out like last year. It's the same people who did that. And when I heard that, they were doing the D&D movie, and I went like, oh God, here we go again. And then they said, oh, it's going to be the same directors as Game Night. I went, you know what? I can see this being good. And then saw that, and it was so fucking good. Yeah, this one, it is hilarious. Like, it's just so funny. Like, I didn't expect this to be funny, and the action is actually really well done. Like, there's a car chase sequence, and they have a camera that is behind the car, but it looks like you're like playing like a video game where you're in a car and you're being chased. The way they were able to film it, it looks like, you're actually like controlling a car. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's a cool shot. But they also love to, a lot of, for like, if they go to like a new location, they actually have like a giant like board where it's like almost like a game, like a board game piece. Mm-hmm. And it's the way they did it was really clever. It didn't feel like shoehorned in. It was like, that's really funny. That's really clever. So yeah, Game Night was really funny. And I didn't expect it to be funny, and wow, it was just hilarious. So I'd recommend it.
I'll definitely watch it. I know I haven't seen Dungeons and Dragons yet, which I know you've been.
I can try to fix that.
Poking me with the stick. I know you've been poking me with the stick with that thing.
Well, there's a lot of movies I'm poking you with a stick about, but you know what?
Oh yeah, I'm sure I'll get to them eventually.
Oh no, if you don't, then the next time we see each other, I'll fix that.
Oh good. Okay.
But anyway.
All right.
Number 7.
Number 7, I'm going to put Ghostbusters. The first one. It's your favorite movie.
Guilty.
You can go into a tangent about this one. But, I mean, I think everybody by now should have watched at least clips of Ghostbusters. It's an iconic movie. There's no escaping it, really.
Well, especially, the fact that they're doing more now, you can't.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is one of those things where I'm like, I don't give a shit.
But again, Ghostbusters, the comedy is right there from the very beginning with making the test. Why can't I think of names right now? For some reason, I can't. Where he does this mental test with the girl, and there's a guy right
Peter.
there, the only one getting shocked. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the comedy's everywhere, down to the secretary,
Ginny.
which I didn't know was Rita Moreno this entire time.
No.
Is she not Rita Moreno?
That was Annie Potts.
Damn.
Yeah. For those who don't know, if you ever watched was the Young Sheldon show? She was
Young Sheldon.
His grandma, but I would know her from Toy Story. She was Bo Peep.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's the movie.
So, yeah, but I'm never gonna not disagree with the original. I'm never not going to. I would see this more as a horror comedy than an action comedy, but again, much like Everything Everywhere All at Once, I'm not going to disagree with that.
I guess horror doesn't really make sense to me because it's not very horror to me, at least. And if it is horror, it's on the lighter side of horror.
It's a comedy film that happens to have some horror moments.
It happens to have, but there is action. It's just all using Ghostbuster machines. So,
and it's awesome.
It's amazing.
I saw this somebody asked me one time if you can have a job from any movie, what would it be? And I said hands down being a Ghostbuster, because I find that really really interesting, and I would use all the tech that they have, the dangerous tech they have. But it's I find it super interesting. Is there pressure to, save the world? Yes. But the experience. That's me.
I mean, sure, it's probably not going to make you a lot of money, but
it's
cool.
It's like Spider-Man.
Exactly.
It's not going to make you any money, but you know what? Well, actually, no. It ghostbusting will, because them catching Slimer, that was $5,000.
True, but they also had to swindle that $5,000 out of the manager.
Okay.
So.
Oh well.
Money.
Yeah.
So your number.
My number 7 is a film that you've already mentioned, Deadpool.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Deadpool, because the first one, but it's because they got it right. Because before we got the Deadpool movie, the only thing we got about Deadpool was in that fucking X-Men Origins movie, and that was just a bastardization of the character. And so when you get a guy like Ryan Reynolds, who is perfect for the role and understands, look, this is what this character needs to be. Don't fucking shut his fucking mouth and give him Cyclops vision. Don't do that. And the fact that, they make fun of it. But it was wow, they actually got it right. And they actually, went crazy with it. And another thing that's crazy about it is that it probably would have never got made if someone didn't leak the test footage. Because that's how it came about, is somebody leaked the test footage online and people saw it and they went, oh my God, this looks great. And basically flooded Fox saying, make the movie. Get the movie made. And I know Reynolds said within a day it got greenlit. And all that because somebody leaked it and the fans wanted it. So they actually listened to the fans.
Damn. Okay.
It's like Sonic all over again.
Listen, Sonic had to be changed. There's no way they were going to give us this furry little rat. Okay? That was not a hedgehog. That was not Sonic.
It looked like a sick and diseased rat. So, a rat.
It looks like... Never mind, I'm not going to say that. Anyways.
But yeah, so they got it right, and look at it now. It's now brought, Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine. And to me, there will be no other actor that can do Wolverine. Me personally. So, but yeah, to piggyback on what you said, it's, it is hilarious. Deadpool's comedy is very much like he's selfly aware that he's in a comic book world and in a comic book movie. It's like he knows that, so he just plays it up, and it's so entertaining. That's my number 7. So number 6.
Number 6 is a movie you already mentioned, and that's Nobody.
All right.
Okay. Now, I watched this with you, and that might have been some of the best decisions I've made. Because
all I had to do...
It's more fun watching it with people.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you do watch Dungeons & Dragons, try watching it with others. Because it's actually a lot funnier. Okay. When I saw Dungeons & Dragons, I saw it with friends and I saw it with family. Some family who actually played Dungeons & Dragons. So every time when they did something that was from the game, my dad was cracking up. And I'm like, what the hell are you laughing at? Like, he just said, this place. And my dad was just like, ah. And I was like, what the hell are you laughing at? And then he had to explain it to me, and is like, I get that, but okay. But yeah, Nobody, all I had to do was basically tell you, it's basically another John Wick. And you were on board.
Oh, yeah. And after watching it, I was just like, no, this is quite literally John Wick if he had the family and the kids and no dog. Okay.
And worked for the government.
That's right. I think that's the only difference, is that this would be John Wick if his entire...
He was a retired government hitman, basically.
Exactly. Which, there's nothing wrong about that, by the way. There's really nothing wrong.
It's a good formula.
It's so good. And, I feel like it's not spoiling it, but all of this started over a bracelet.
Well, mainly, that's also mainly the plot. Is he got burglarized, and then as he was trying to find the burglars, it then becomes a downward spiral into being involved with the Russian mob.
Which, the mushroom didn't want to fuck with that, but it was a little too late.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Nobody is quite literally Mr. Nobody.
That's pretty much what his name was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Nobody is quite literally the definition of action plus comedy. Mm-hmm. So, something that I can't do with John Wick, because John Wick doesn't really have comedy.
It has comedy on the situations.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily an action comedy. It's quite literally just action and get your ass beat. So
yeah, it's more like action drama that just has a little bit of comedy touches in there. Yeah, I would say with John Wick, it's more, the comedy comes with reactions and some of the situations. But with both,
John getting run over and over again.
Well, or that, or the first movie, I heard you struck my son. Yes, sir, I did. Well, I asked why. Well, because your son killed John Wick's dog and stole his car. Oh. I'm fucked.
It's what? Your son killed the Baba Yaga's dog? Shit.
Yeah. Well, and I love the running joke of saw him kill 5 men in a bar with a pencil. And then in the second one, yeah, he was like, yeah, he killed 5 men apart with a pencil. I heard a fucking pencil. Who would do that? Like that. That's how it became funny. And just also, you know, all John Wick has to do is just say maybe a couple of words, and he just scares the shit out of people.
Which, I mean,
like yeah,
it's true. I mean, it's scary.
Like yeah, it's just he picks up the phone. You have my car, and just hangs up.
Give me that.
And he's like, oh my god, I'm in trouble. So I would say that's a good difference between John Wick and Nobody. Is the comedy is different in both. Like yeah, with John Wick it's mainly the you know, situations and reactions of people, but with Nobody I would say it's more like head on. Like it is more supposed to be funny.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Like with Mr. Nobody, he's very much aware of what he's doing, and he's like quite literally trying to make it the most stupidest fight.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, you know, and also what I do like is that he's in Nobody. He's doing it to basically protect his family, but
yeah,
but with John Wick, he's doing it for revenge, and then that becomes a downward spiral. But yeah, with Nobody, it's like he's doing it to just help the family. So, yeah, I would agree. Like Nobody is very good.
I agree. So, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is Red. Now, Red is super underrated. It is based on a DC comic of the same name. Red meaning retired and extremely dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically a bunch of retired people, like some who worked for the CIA. They get caught up in like somebody's wanting to kill like ex-CIA agents, and they have to basically track it down. And this movie has like the lead is Bruce Willis, who is basically like just trying to live his life, and then is trying to date Mary Louise Parker. But one of his old friends is played by Morgan Freeman. They also have a friend who is Helen Mirren. And then also somebody that they partner up with who is by far my favorite character in the movie, who is basically just paranoid as shit, thinks no one can be trusted, and is just fucking hilarious. It's John Malkovich.
Of course it is.
And
John
it's him being crazy John Malkovich too. Like, all I have to say is there's a scene. It's towards the climax of the movie. Or it's in the climax of the movie, so I don't want to give too much away. But they're doing a plan, and then a bunch of agents come outside, and who's waiting out there? It's John Malkovich with a bomb strapped to himself, and the clock, it looks like a children's toy clock.
Oh my god!
And he runs at him, and he's screaming, and it's like, this is what I need. This is what I want. It's just crazy John Malkovich. It is so entertaining. The second one's okay, but the first one is just, they basically said, you know what, let's make an over-the-top comic book movie. Let's just do that. And also, this movie has pre The Boys and pre-Dread Carl Urban, who is after Bruce Willis. I wouldn't say he's a villain per se, but he's after him.
Funny.
Movie is so funny, and even like some people who show up for maybe 5 minutes are in it, and you're like, dude, what the hell are you doing here? There's a part where they go and meet James Remar, who, if you don't know who that is, he was Raiden in Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh, okay.
He's been in other stuff, but yeah, he just pops in. But I guess cameo is there's a part where Carl Urban goes to the CIA's vault, and the vault keeper is Ernst Borgnine.
That's funny.
Yeah, who is Mermaid Man. It's my he's Mermaid Man. So he's literally just there, and it's funny because Carl Urban goes, "I didn't know this place existed," and Ernest looks at him and goes, "It doesn't."
It doesn't.
And it's just so entertaining because you're like, "Holy crap, dude, you're in this!" Like, this movie is a whole bunch of treasures. It is hilarious. It's so entertaining and it's so fucking funny. So I'd recommend it. It's awesome. That's my number 6. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my number 6. So
Okay.
we're in the top 5 now.
Top 5, which is kind of hard to choose.
It was.
But I decided to put number 5, the first Men in Black movie.
Oh yeah, kind of forgot about that.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? You kind of just forget about movies.
Oh yeah, every time I watch Men in Black, I forget how entertaining and funny it is. Like every time.
Exactly.
So.
But again, it's a classic, kind of like Ghostbusters. The comedy is just kind of written in there for everything, like down to the aliens and how they look, where they're from, the language the alien speaks, or down to like the human that they're currently presiding in. Mm-hmm. Like that's the comedy aspect of it, like down to the dog, the dog that's an alien.
Frank.
So, and then the action, obviously, they're Secret Service, so there's going to be action because they're Secret Service.
Yeah.
So,
well, it does have a level of Ghostbusters to it where they're like, okay, you know what? Let's, say that this exists. Let's keep it grounded. Let's ground it in reality. But the thing with this one is that they don't want anybody to know. Like Tommy Lee Jones says, a person is smart, but people are dumb. If people found out that, aliens existed, there'll be a riot. There'll be a frenzy. So it's our job to keep that away. Where with Ghostbusters, you really can't escape that because they're everywhere. And he even said, like, with the aliens, most of them, they just want to live their lives. That's all they want to do. So we just leave that alone. We keep them in check, and we make sure that they're not doing anything crazy. So, where with Ghostbusters, it's like, most of them are evil. So it has that level of Ghostbusters to it that I think works quite well. And yeah, when you have a veteran actor like Tommy Lee Jones talking to a dog, what more can you want?
Right? It's such an amazing movie. Like, I don't want anything to change about it. And, this is referring to like the first 3 movies. From there, I like the ones with like Liam Hemsworth in it and like
Chris.
Some other spinoffs. Like, I feel like those are okay, but like the first couple ones, it really just kind of gives you everything that you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my number 5.
Number 5.
Yeah.
My number 5 is again another underrated movie. The Boondock Saints. This is.
Okay.
Oh my god. This movie is about two brothers who are Christian assassins, basically. And it is Norman Reedus way before Walking Dead. The other one is I think Sean Patrick Fleury, which he's popped up in a couple of stuff. But they're being pursued by Willem Dafoe, who plays a over-the-top gay detective. and it is amazing.
Yeah.
The action is really cool, but also it has a level of dark humor to it that is just hilarious. Like, I hate to say it's my favorite part, but there's a part where the two of them, they have a friend with them who is also an assassin, and they're playing poker and they're drunk, and one of them has a pet cat, and they're just talking, and then one of them slams their fist on the poker table where the cat is, but unfortunately the cat is right next to a gun. And them slamming it down, the gun goes off and accidentally kills the cat. So you're thinking, oh my God, that is just horrific. But so then they get shocked by it, and they're just like, I can't believe that just happened. And then one of them goes, is it dead? Because they're drunk. So they don't know. But Willem Dafoe, his character, every time he goes to a crime scene, he listens to opera music, and he's like recreating the whole scene. And it's actually a cool way they do it. The action scenes, if it's at a like what they'll do is they'll have it at a crime scene, and then Dafoe shows up. He plays opera music, and then it cuts to the like, I don't know, like a gunfight scene. But then it's then able to merge in, like, you see like Dafoe like explaining stuff as like the two brothers are just like shooting. So it makes you kind of feel like you're actually at like a crime scene. So it's really clever the way they do it, and then especially, a certain part where Dafoe dresses up in drag a little bit to like try to find something out. It is so entertaining. Like, I highly recommend it. It's definitely an underrated movie. I don't think a lot of people like realize it exists, unless you're like super huge fans of Willem Dafoe, which I know I am. And it was actually right before Spider-Man. So it was before Dafoe got Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it is very entertaining and very funny. Like, it's very dark humor. That's what they're going for. I recommend it. It's a lot of fun. That's number 5.
Okay. A lot of movies I haven't heard of for sure on your list. So, number 4, right?
Number 4.
Number 4, I'm putting Rush Hour.
The first one?
First one. I think for the majority of them, I'm just going to put the first one, because usually their sequels are not as good as the first one. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Rush Hour, the first one. Good old Jack Chan and Chris Tucker.
Yep.
Now, that's definitely action comedy. I feel like that is also an action comedy movie.
It is.
It is.
They're trying to do a 4th one.
I heard. Is it still going to be Brett Ratner?
I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know.
I don't know, but yeah. The to be honest, the only thing with Chris Tucker that I can really honestly think of is not Rush Hour. It's The Fifth Element.
Oh, okay.
I know a lot of people find him annoying, but I find it funny. But did you actually know that with Rush Hour, originally it was going to be given to Martin Lawrence?
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. But he turned it down, and he suggested to the producers, go to Chris Tucker for it. because he wanted to give him more traction. And then Tucker said yes, and look at that, they got 3 movies in. So, yeah.
I mean, Tucker did such an amazing job.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like with Rush Hour, the jokes are very much jokes that are not very good no more, if that makes sense.
It's definitely, if it was made today, it would definitely have to be rewritten.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Which sucks because they're lighthearted jokes, but they're taken into such a wrong direction.
Yeah.
That they're no longer lighthearted jokes.
No.
So, but yeah, I mean, again, I feel like it should be a movie everyone should know, but if you don't, it's literally just, what is it? Jackie Chan's character is like Secret Service for Hong Kong, and then
so.
Chris Tucker is LAPD.
Yep.
And then the Prime Minister of China's daughter got kidnapped, so now they need Jackie to find them. But then they asked for like an LAPD cop, so they sent Tucker. But it was so that they can distract Jackie Chan's character from getting involved with the FBI or CIA.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think is what.
Pretty
much. So
it's basically a movie where these two, very different people involved with law enforcement, they, it's very much like we have to work together, but can they work together kind of thing.
Yes, and
so that's basically, Rush Hour.
That's basically, yeah. Right?
Yeah, Rush Hour was fun.
Number
4 for me. You're probably going to slap your forehead on this one.
Oh, God.
Kung Fury.
Smacked it.
Man.
I smacked it.
This is something where they know exactly what the hell they're doing. And I love the shit out of it. I can't tell you how many times, I'm going man, I got really nothing to watch. Or maybe I'll be like, I got 30 minutes to kill. Fuck it, I'm watching it. Because it's just so entertaining. And it's so enjoyable. And the fact that in this one, they got David Hasselhoff to do a song for it. And in the second one, whenever that may come out, they got him back. They got Michael Fassbender, and they got Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Wow.
And I know Schwarzenegger. He's playing the president, and Fassbender, I think, is playing Kung Fury's sidekick or his partner or something like that. I think the synopsis of 2 was he has to work with a new group of partners, and I think Fassbender is the lead of them.
Right.
I think, but unfortunately, right now it's pretty much almost done, but I looked it up. Apparently, there's something going on with the investors, so they don't know when it's going to come out anymore. Originally, it was supposed to come out last year, and then it was supposed to come out this year, but they just don't know anymore, which sucks too because I want to see it. But I've said how much I've praised Kung Fury and just how amazingly ridiculous it is, and and you know what, it has a synthesized soundtrack, and I actually listen to it a lot. So, I love it. So that's my number 4. So number 3.
Number 3. Okay.
I'm gonna zoom past it so that way you don't have to keep shaking your head and smacking your forehead.
My silence was enough, wasn't it?
Sure.
Sure. Number 3. Again, I don't know.
It's like talking to your crush. Hey, how you doing, girl? K.
Oh.
just sets back the letter K.
Just okay.
Just K.
Anyways.
All right.
Number 3. I'm putting in Bad Boys.
Which one? The first one?
The first one. All of them is just going to be the first one. I don't really want to get into some of the newer ones. Just Bad Boys, the first one.
Yeah. Surprised it's not 2.
1995. What?
Surprised it's not 2.
I was surprised too, but I thought I'd just go with all the originals this time around. I don't think I have to go into it. I think
It's one
Bad
of Michael
Boys
Bay's
is-
not terrible movies.
yeah, it's one of I don't know how to. Yeah, I guess you're right. Michael Bay did a pretty good job with these movies. Not all of them, but
I know he only did the first 2.
yeah, that's
but-
why he didn't do too bad, and I'm glad he didn't. But
Well,
got
and
Will
then-
Smith.
and then they didn't know like if they're going to do another one, if they're going to do a third and then a fourth one. They didn't know what they were going to do, so then he was like, "Ah, fuck it, I'm going to do Transformers," and basically ruin that series. So, but
If they reboot it, I hope they don't put him on the lead anywhere.
yeah, I had a friend of mine say like, "Hey, at least he's not doing a He-Man movie." I'm like, "Why did you just say that?" Like,
He-Man movie.
yeah.
Wow.
He was like, "Hey, at least he's not doing a He-Man movie," and I'm like, "Why did you have to say that out loud?"
Now it's in the universe. It's gonna happen, and now we know who to blame.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I'll go to him and just say, "You did this."
You did this. This is your fault. But
Yeah, but from his point of view, all he will see is just he's walking along and then all of a sudden just standing at like the end of a hallway or just it's a dark place and he just sees a silhouette and then he just hears, "You did this," and they just pop up a picture of them announcing it. And it's like, "You did this." But yeah. I would agree. Bad Boys is definitely fun. Personally, I liked the second one more, but the first one, it definitely had its moments, and it was a nice like stepping stone. It was like, all right, we got this. Now let's do it. Let's do it more. So it kind of reminds me of like something like the first one was something where they didn't want to like piss the studio off. 2 is I feel like what they wanted to do with the first one, but didn't want to step on toes or they had budget restraints. But I don't know, but I do enjoy Bad Boys. I've seen the first 3. I haven't seen the new one yet, but I do like 2 quite a bit, and then 3 was actually pretty good. I thought 3 was gonna suck, but it wasn't. And I heard 4 is pretty good too. So I would agree.
I would agree. Yeah, I mean, any cop movie, unless it's like a really serious one, usually they're pretty comedic. So,
Well, just
all right.
wait until you go back into the back into 82 when you had 48 Hours where that was Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte.
Oh my goodness, just
I mean, that's funny right there.
yeah, it is funny. I know.
So, my number 3 is the first one in a series and my favorite one in that series, Die Hard.
There you go. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, because there's parts in 2 that I'm like, okay, this is cool, but it's okay. 3, 3's cool. It definitely doesn't feel like Die Hard because it's not really secluded in one place. It's like big New York, so it became pretty much like a buddy cop movie, which is a problem I had, but it was still entertaining. And then you had 4, and then that was it. They only had 4 movies, so the thing about why I love Die Hard so much is it's the action, the acting, and also the fact that it is really funny, but the character of John McClane, he feels like an everyday man. And you can kind of see yourself through this and go, what would I do in this situation? And you'd be like, it makes him more like an everyday man, which is what I hated at the start of, I would say 4, when he was basically a superhero and became indestructible. And it just lost that ounce of realism to this which, you know, I'm glad is coming back to action movies now, like a sense of realism. But, you know, it's also a fantastic Christmas movie. I think I told you there's like 3 Christmas movies that I try to watch every year. This is one of them.
Yep. And
Was,
you know, it's not a Christmas movie per se, but it just takes place during Christmas time.
it counts.
It's always it counts.
You know,
it counts.
if it takes place during Christmas time, it counts to me.
Exactly, I agree with you.
That's like the same thing with one of the other movies, The Ref. It takes place on Christmas Eve, so to me that counts.
That counts. All of it counts.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole thing like with like what's technically a Christmas movie and what's not. To me, you know, I don't care. To me, if it takes place on Christmas, that is a Christmas movie. If it has kind of a Christmas setting, to me that counts. But I heard somebody say that they think that the movie 12 Monkeys is a Christmas movie because you see a Christmas tree in it. And I'm like, that's it?
Okay.
That's it? Like that? No. I'm sorry, but no. But, you know, Die Hard is definitely, it's not just one of the best action films. It's not just one of the best Christmas films. It's just also one of the best films of the 80s. And, you know, at the time, you know, this basically launched Bruce Willis's career into the stratosphere because at the time he was really only known for doing a TV series and maybe 2 moderately kind of successful movies, but he was doing kind of like, he wasn't really the lead in those. So the fact that he was able to get this and, you know, launch his career into the stratosphere, you know, there you go. It was a big gamble, but they did it, and it paid off. So, you know, I love Die Hard. I try to watch it every Christmas, and you know, it's a classic. So.
It is a classic. I agree with you. It's always going to be one of the best action Christmas movies ever.
Yeah.
Till it dies.
Yeah. Like so. That'll ever happen.
It won't.
Good. Right.
Okay.
Number two.
Again, it started getting really hard to choose movies for 2 and 1.
Yeah, because for me it was easy.
Really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Well, it also doesn't help that 2 and 1 are basically like in my favorite movies catalog. So that was kind of a cheat sheet.
It was kind of a cheat sheet, huh?
Yeah.
So number 2, I had to like rewatch this movie just slightly to make sure that there was any comedy in it, but I put Thor Ragnarok for my number 2.
Yeah, I would say there's comedy in that because it's definitely, you know, it's an action superhero movie that just so happens to have comedy.
Exactly. It just happens.
Yeah.
So, because every source that I found, it's on the list for action comedy, but I was like, how much comedy is there to be considered an action comedy?
Yeah.
But there is quite a few scenes here and there. But Ragnarok was one of my top 5s for when we did the superhero comic one. Mm-hmm. So, again, really great movie, well directed, great plot, handsome men, really scary sisters,
and then they did Love and Thunder, and
then everything got fucked up. So.
Yeah, that's when it went down.
That's when Thor went down, so obviously his movies had to go down too. Mm-hmm. So great stuff. So there you go. Thor, Ragnarok, Love and Thunder, one of the few movies I can recommend from the Marvel series. Mm-hmm. I don't think you should go out of order with Thor. I feel like all of the Thor movies deserve a chance, but definitely Thor Ragnarok has to be one of the better ones out of the Thors. So.
Well, yeah, because the fact that the one previous to that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, you know. Yeah. I would agree. You know, Ragnarok was one of the better ones that came out. So, yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Gotta love Thor. All right.
My number 2 is Hot Fuzz.
Okay.
because, I've talked about it numerous times, but it's just they took a classic cop buddy action film and just put comedy on top of it, and it just fits like a glove. And also, if I'm going to be completely honest, I have not seen a bad Edgar Wright film. I would say his weakest one would be The World's End, but it's not bad. It's a toss up between this and Scott Pilgrim, but Scott Pilgrim has more of like a romance kind of aspect to it. This one is totally like straight up action comedy. So that's why I put it here. But it's also, one of my favorite films ever. And yeah, I know I've talked about it numerous times, so there's only so much I can still say about it. But it's just so fun and just so hilarious. And every time I see it, there's something new that I catch. Or there's a certain piece of dialogue that I'm like, oh, I didn't catch that. That's funny. And so every time you watch it, there's something new to see. Or if you don't see it, it's still a fun time. So that's my number 2.
Number 2.
Number
Very good
1.
number 2, though. Oh God, not number 1. I went with my safest bet. I went with my safest bet for number 1, and I think this movie pops up at least once every episode for some reason. I don't know why. But it's Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah, see, like I said, I thought it has like a little more romantic stuff, but it was a tough toss up between that and Hot Fuzz. But Hot Fuzz, it's one of my favorites. It's like one of my top 5. Scott Pilgrim would be in my top 10. So that's why it was hard. But I do agree. Scott Pilgrim. I don't think Edgar Wright can do any wrong. As of right now, I don't think he can do anything wrong.
I agree, but I haven't seen enough to disagree.
No.
So.
Well, I would definitely recommend watching Baby Driver was really good. If you want to see him tackle something horror, Last Night in Soho is pretty good.
Okay.
Especially if you like time. It's not really time travel, but more like time stuff, but also involves like ghosts. That's definitely good. And I think he said his next movie is going to be kind of another horror movie. I don't remember what it was about, but he's currently doing it. He's currently writing it.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Did I explain? No, I didn't. I mean, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, great movie, based off a game, based off some comics. There's a Netflix series of it now that's anime cartoonish.
Still haven't seen it.
So, you still haven't seen it? I haven't finished it.
Yeah.
So,
I know we talked about it last time, but
yeah. But again, great movie. It does have action in it. Mm-hmm. It does have action.
Well, I mean, the fact that, the action looks like something from like a kung fu thing, but they just put comic stuff on top of it. So, yeah, I would definitely think Edgar Wright was the best choice to helm that because he understands stuff. Like, he would look at something and go, okay, this needs to have great dialogue. The sense of humor needs to be good. And also, if you're going to reference something, it needs to be organic to the situation. Otherwise, it's just, you feel like you're quoting Star Wars for no reason. It needs to have a way in order for it to fit and make it work. And that's what I think Edgar Wright was able to do a lot of the time. So, like Shaun of the Dead, there were certain parts in there where there were references to like other zombie films, but like with Hot Fuzz, the fact that, you know, they say like, hey, okay, you want to watch Point Break or Bad Boys 2, they actually made that like fit in with the plot. So that's how he uses it. And, you know, when it came to him helming a comic book movie, he understood what was good about it, what didn't work, and took the things that didn't work and changed that around and made the good things better.
Right.
So, I would agree. You know, Scott Pilgrim versus the World is one of my favorites.
And it continues to be. Like, I feel like there has not been an adaptation of something like this in a while that makes me think, oh my God, this is so much more better than Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would agree. And the fact that next year it turns 15. Which is just nuts. My number one is a film that I've talked about before. It's a film that I think you would totally dig, especially if you like Thor Ragnarok. Big Trouble in Little China. Because it's not just one of my favorite movies, but a lot of filmmakers today grew up watching like John Carpenter stuff, like Edgar Wright. One of his favorite films is The Thing. Taika Waititi. You watch Thor Ragnarok and then watch Big Trouble in Little China, you can totally see the influence in there. Like, totally see it. And, I love Kurt Russell. This movie, he's just an idiot truck driver who thinks he's better than everybody else, but, in hindsight, he absolutely is not. And he's definitely a character where he says things before he thinks about it.
Right.
And everything he says is either funny or heroic. That's basically him. And, it's hilarious. And, yeah, I know a lot of people said, like, oh, we grew up watching, Kung Fu Panda, and that has James Hong in it. I'm like, well, I grew up with this, and James Hong is the villain.
Which is crazy to think about, because a lot of people don't really, understand the voices behind a lot of cartoons.
Oh, yeah.
So James Hong is in Kung Fu Panda. And I'm like, yeah, well, James Hong had a career before Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, hell. He popped up in Blade Runner for, a minute.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
He was also in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That's right.
So, yeah, he's definitely an actor that just pops in every now and then. You're like, holy crap, that's him. He's almost like another, God, what was his name? Reginald Fell Johnson. He's almost like another him, where he'll pop up in random things. Like, he was in Family Matters. But he was also in Die Hard. You saw him briefly in Ghostbusters. And it was just like, holy crap, that's him. So they're like character actors. And the fact that I think a couple months ago or something like that, James Hong finally he got his hands in front of the TCL Chinese Theater.
Mm-hmm.
He finally got him.
Wow.
So it's like, Jesus Christ, dude, come on. Like, come on. Like, really? It took them this long? It also, it baffles me, like, next year for the Hollywood Walk of Fame, John Carpenter's getting one. The Prince hasn't gotten one yet, that he's getting one next year. Depeche Mode finally are getting one. So it's just baffling to me sometimes that I'm like, hold on. Are you telling me that Prince and Depeche Mode have not gotten a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but fucking Pitbull got one? What is this?
It's crazy, no? It's too much.
It's just baffling to me. I don't get it. But, that's still a different story. But, Big Trouble is just so entertaining. It's so fun. Every time I see it, it is always fun. And it's just, I love it. It's one of my favorite movies. It's, I know everybody is going to disagree with this, but personally, Big Trouble in China is my favorite Carpenter movie. It's
Wow.
not The Thing. It's not Escape from New York. It's not They Live. It's this. Because I grew up on this movie. And then I didn't see his other movies until later. I'm like, oh, dude, this guy's awesome. So, yeah. But that is my favorite action comedy film. So,
Which, I'm not going to disagree with you. I still haven't watched it, but I'm not going to disagree with you,
that movie,
You say it's good, it has to be amazing.
Well, I would like for you to wait on that one until, we see each other again.
Okay.
Because I would basically just like every single part that I love, I'm basically just gonna like turn towards you and just see your reaction. It's like what I do with my mother when I show her a horror movie. I know exactly what's gonna come, and I just kind of like look to see what she's gonna react to. So it's gonna be that. It's because that's what I was kind of doing with Nobody and Hot Fuzz when I showed you both of those. It was the same thing. I was kind of like looking back, just like looking for your reactions at it. It's like that thing where it's your favorite and you're showing it to somebody and then you just can't stop like looking at them like, this is good, ain't it? It's just
when you showed me Hot Fuzz and Nobody, there was no doubt in my mind those two movies are always going to be up there for just a rainy day.
Yeah. So... Yeah.
So.
To me, Hot Fuzz would definitely be a comfort movie. I would say on this list of mine, Big Trouble, Hot Fuzz, I would probably, those two are definitely comfort movies. So it's like, if I'm ever down or just like want to watch something and I'm like, I want to watch something I know. And I know it. I love it. I've seen it multiple times, but it doesn't get old. Those two movies are definitely some of those that work for me. So those are comfort movies. I mean, hell, you were talking about American Psycho potentially being a comfort movie.
I mean, it could be. I still haven't watched enough. And I went to the Goodwill yesterday, and I saw the DVD up for sale for $2, and I was like very tempted to get it, but then I decided not to.
Because you want to get the 4K of it.
Exactly.
No. Well, the thing about American Psycho, why I think you would like it, why I think you would liked it, was the fact that you told me you like those like murder, like crime stuff, and I'm like, oh, then you need to watch this, because this thing, it has those, but it is fucking hilarious. So, but yeah, we all have those comfort movies, and for me, Big Trouble and Hot Fuzz are definitely top tier on that. Yeah, so that is our list, and now we get to talk about the movie, which we are doing because 4th of July was, couple days ago as of right now. So we were thinking, let's see. We have Independence Day. Nah, let's not do that. That seems too obvious. I was going to recommend They Live, but I know you haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that, no.
So we said, you know what? Let's do Team America Wool Police.
Which, have mercy on myself for that one.
The fact that they have a song called America Fuck Yeah.
have you seen, we've seen the movie.
Yeah.
There's a reason why there's a song like that.
it's also something because it's done by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, who also do South Park. But it's you also, I know Trey Parker's a huge music lover, which is why like the South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut movie was basically musical, and this one is kind of the same way. But I would say the South Park movie was more musical than this. This one, they just so happen to have just some songs thrown in. I mean, when you have a song called America Fuck Yeah, and then Kim Jong-il's song is I'm So Won'Wee, just like that, by the way, you know what the hell you're getting into. I mean, and the fact that, Il is basically Parker doing, if it was Cartman trying to do a North Korean accent, you know what you're getting into. So
yeah, which leads into like the whole how controversial the movie is, because it, in a formal way, it could be racist. It very much is. It's an offensive racist movie, and a lot of people don't want to watch it because it's offensive and racist because of the portrayal of Kim Jong-il.
Yes.
So,
but also at the same time, it's like, do they know what South Park is?
Right, and I feel like South Park is so much more offensive than this movie.
They've done a lot of offensive stuff that I'm like, oh wow. And even both Parker and Stone said, we're surprised we haven't been canceled.
Which is so funny, right?
The fact that,
oh yeah, I love South Park.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, and then the fact that, for one season, the marketing they had was basically posters and billboards that said #cancel South Park. Because even they were saying, we're surprised we have not been canceled. Like, we're shocked. So...
Exactly.
And the fact that, the show has been going on for, over 25 years now, and they're still able to do it, it almost makes it timeless. Because South Park, they basically make fun of stuff that's going on, like, the week before. Because their thing is, I think they have a week. They do it every week, and it's not like something where they have stories already planned out. They literally, like, for a couple of days, they literally just go in the writer's room and just say, hey, let's do this. Let's talk about this, and then just go, okay, animators, start working on this. We're gonna start writing it, and then we'll get you all the voice stuff that you need. And then at the last day, they basically go, okay, here you go, Comedy Central, air it. And they're done. And they're literally working on the next episode. Mm-hmm. It's quite interesting and quite fascinating to see, how they do it. So, yeah. But, yeah, the Team America Woe Police, when you literally have puppets getting shot at, that's just funny. That's just funny by itself. Mm-hmm, but, it's just so unbelievable. And, yeah, like, definitely, I definitely agree. It's definitely something where it's like, yeah, I don't know if this can slide today, even though, Seth Rogen and James Franco tried to do it with The Interview, and that almost caused World War III. Mm-hmm, and, yeah, they're basically like, yeah, let's not do this again. Let's just not. Yeah,
I agree with you. Like, I know it's supposed to be like super fun, and like it's dolls, guys. Like, it's not like real people, but like, I understand where they're coming from. It's still a pretty fun movie if you turn off your brain, I guess, and it's only 90 minutes, which is one of the shorter movies.
That's South Park too. Like South Park, you can literally just turn off your brain.
Yeah, just turn off your brain. You'll be fine. But, I mean, it's funny. Like, the whole, like, Matt Damon joke, that's funny, too. Like, everybody, like, it's just, you really have to be understanding. And that doesn't mean that the people that made this, I remember they, like, issued out an apology over this, like, movie, which I feel like wasn't really necessary at the time. It's a 2004 movie. Like, 2004 was the most offensive times in the
Oh,
early
yeah.
2000s.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, it was kind of like, you don't need to apologize. This is quite literally just society in 2004.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's funny is, something about Mike Judge, who, did Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill. When he did his movie Idiocracy, his movies and his stuff resonates today more than they did back then when he did them. Mm-hmm. And I think he said, like, during, like, the 2020 presidential election, he was like, I didn't know I was making a documentary. And it's like, yeah. And then now we're in 2024, and look at that. But, it was something where it pretty much can only be done in the time period that it came out in. Because, if you think about it, 2004, a bunch of stuff was going on. So it was like, yeah, we're at this point now where, we can do this. So let's do it now, because we probably will not get to do this again in the future. So let's just do it now. So, and they did. So.
Which, yeah, I agree. I agree with all of that. It really is just learning that this came out in 2004. The movie's supposed to be stupid and funny and, I guess, offensive in a way that wasn't meant to be super offensive that'll make it banned in all kinds of countries. Like,
it felt like it was supposed to be satire.
Yeah, it's a satire movie. Like, I mean, I remember one of the scenes where one of the puppets gets shit-faced and crawls into the alley and starts screaming Lisa and vomits for like 3 minutes straight.
Yes.
Like I mean, that's not supposed to be taken literal.
I mean, you also forget about the one where the two of them have sex.
Oh, yeah.
So you're literally watching, like, it's over the top. It's supposed to be ridiculous looking because they're fucking puppets. And, they're having sex, and what they're doing is like, oh my God. Like, okay, that's really ridiculous, but, you could see that as being funny. You could see that as being over the line, but it's ridiculous, and you also need to understand that that's their sense of humor, is being over the top, is saying, you know what, we don't care about being sensitive. Let's just do it. And they did it.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was finished. Like, they did it.
Oh, yeah. Which, I mean, I remember looking at this movie, like, growing up, and I'm like, this looks like a stupid movie. And then I watched it, I'm like, yeah, it's a stupid movie.
Stupid, but it's funny.
Stupid.
Yeah. For rating, I like South Park, so it's I like the sense of humor. It can be very, like, over the line a lot, but probably, probably maybe a respect, because it's, you see a movie like Team America World Police and you see that it's a bunch of fucking puppets. What the hell do you think you're going to get into? And it even said, from the creators of South Park. Oh, so it's literally a 90-minute puppet South Park movie. It's kind of what it is. So, I mean, it's like blurring the lines between being a decent job and a respect. But, if you go into this going like, oh my God, this is so offensive, you really didn't do your homework. Like, because it's South Park. So you're like, okay, I know what I'm getting into on this one. So that's kind of where I stand.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I can't really add on to it because you kind of just explained it very well. I'm pretty much the same. If I had to, like, give it a rating, it would be, I guess, decent job. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, it's blurring the lines between respect and decent, and I just can't find that one.
which, I mean, there could be. But I feel like for me, it is very much a decent job. Not because it's not a great movie, but because it's just not enough for me to give it a respect.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, it doesn't look like they'll be returning to Team America at any point. But, you know, because I don't know what they would be doing, because if they did this again, it would probably start another world war. So I don't know.
I mean, if unless, they did, it'd have to be
unless
about Trump and Biden.
Or, you know, or they do something like what they did with South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, where it was Saddam Hussein, but at that point I believe he had already died.
Oh.
So they do something like that, where they take, you know, a world they take a ruler that is already dead.
Fair.
But I don't know. I think doing another one of these would be a little too risky. So, like I said, it was the time period. They said, you know what, let's just do it because we think we can get away with it, and somehow they did. And it's like, okay, let's not do this ever again. So, congratulations, guys, you did it.
Congratulations.
Thanks for listening. Follow us on social. Listen to full shows on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to the Cinematic Duo YouTube channel.